Hello, this is Diane Birnholz. I was a federal prosecutor, and what I wanted to talk about today was just to give one safety tip that should apply in many different circumstances, and it is to trust your gut. And if something feels off with a situation or with a specific person, trust yourself and try to remove yourself from the situation as quickly as you can. Now, while I was researching this case on the double murder that took place in Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas, I myself went out for a hike with a loved one. And in fact, one of the reasons that this case affected me so deeply is not only because I'm a parent, but also because I love to go hiking, and it's something I do quite often. So just recently, while I was looking into this case, I went with a loved one to a park to go for a hike. It was a place we'd never been before. And the entrance to this trail was right on a fairly busy road, and it was kind of a narrow entrance surrounded by trees. And the way that you parked, there were a couple of cars parked right outside the entrance to this hiking trail that we wanted to go on, but the vast majority of people appeared to be parking at an elementary school that was right across the street from the park, and there was a crosswalk to go park and go on this hike. So we parked and we went to the crosswalk. There was no one else around. Went into this hiking trail, and within a few seconds of getting in there, all of a sudden there was a guy by himself who was right behind us. I didn't know where he came from. And so I was nervous about him. We were already a few feet off the road inside this hiking trail. And there was a sign describing what trails there were and giving directions and with a map. And so I told the person I was hiking with, hey, I just want to stop and look at this map for a minute because I wanted to let this man walk by and see where he was going to go. Right off the bat, this guy gave me a bad feeling. And I've tried to think about it since and try to identify all the things about him that seemed off. And I want you to be doing this when you think something feels off. Try to identify, am I just imagining this or am I picking up on actual cues that do not feel right? The first thing I noticed about him is that he was wearing flip-flops. You might think, well, that seems kind of like a silly thing to notice. What's the big deal about wearing flip-flops? But if you went on this hiking trail, you would realize that no one would want to wear flip-flops. It was a hiking trail. There were a lot of stones. There were tree roots. It was going to be difficult to walk, and you don't embark on a hike wearing these flip-flops. It also seemed like they were slightly difficult to walk in. Another thing that seemed off is normally when people are hiking, they will stop and say hello. Right? You'll make eye contact and say hello to other hikers. That's normally what people do, especially at an entrance when you've just come in. This guy didn't do that. He avoided eye contact, but he was clearly lingering right around us. And so as I stood there looking at the sign, he wasn't looking at the sign. He wasn't saying hello to us, but he was just kind of standing near us. And I was very uncomfortable, and I was not going to step another inch further onto this path until I knew where he was going. And there was a fork right there. So I waited. He went off to the right, and I thought, okay, hopefully it's safe to go off to the left. There was another couple that was also going for a hike around the same time. They were slightly ahead of us. And so we said hello to them, and we stopped on a bridge that was only a few more feet past where we had originally come in. And all of a sudden, this guy reappeared. And I noticed that, again, he didn't say hello. He was hanging around too close and didn't go by. Okay, I was feeling incredibly uncomfortable, partly because I was researching this double homicide and partly because of the vibes I was getting from this guy. So I just stood there on the bridge, let him go by. I knew that we were still very close to the entrance and could run out if need be. We were not far in. Kind of let him go past. So he went further in on the main hiking trail, and I noticed, in addition to his flip-flops, and his just odd demeanor and the way he was lurking around longer than I thought was appropriate. He was walking with his hand in his left pocket of his shorts. All right, that's all I needed to see. I was like, we're out of here. And so I talked to the other couple and I said, look, I was a prosecutor, I'm a lawyer, I look into criminal cases. That guy feels way off to me, and I'm urging you not to continue in on this hiking trail because I don't trust him. I'm afraid that he's up to no good. And they're like, I'm with you. He really gave us bad vibes too. Why is he wearing those flip-flops? There's something really off about him. And so I said, we're leaving. We're going to find another place to hike. I'm urging you to please don't follow that guy in. And so he said, okay. So we left and got in our car, and thank goodness, right then, by a huge coincidence, a police car appeared and he was pulling someone over. So I went up to the police car and I was like, hello, I want to tell you I saw something really weird inside this hiking trail, weird enough that I didn't want to continue hiking. I left. And so the cop wanted the man's description, which I gave. I know how to cop speak. And I was like, Caucasian male, about 5'8", trim build, cargo shorts, hand in his left pocket, flip-flops, brown hair, probably in his 30s, okay? And so the cop parked his car and went in afterward. And I don't know what happened next, but I just know that I really wanted to go hiking there, and I was not happy to have our plans derailed, but I was spooked and I listened to my gut, and afterward really tried to piece together everything there was about this guy that didn't feel right. One thing that my hiking partner articulated even clearer than I had in my own mind is the fact that he appeared so quickly after we came in that entrance. And he had not been behind us in the crosswalk. And I don't know where he came from because we didn't see anyone else around. So my partner was saying, well, maybe he was parked in one of the cars. There were a couple of cars. And I'm like, I don't think so, because my memory was that those cars were empty. And also, I never heard a car door shut, which I would have. If he had been sitting in the car and then got out right after us and walked into the park, I would have heard a car door. So I just knew I had it. And I think that he was hiding in the bushes or I don't know what, and was waiting for some people to come in so he could follow us in that park. Okay? So if you're in an elevator or a park or a bar or a parking garage or whatever it is, something doesn't feel right, don't worry about being rude. Please, please, please try to get yourself to safety. If you need to call someone and report that you're scared or whatever it is, if you want to carry pepper spray, I recommend that too. But take steps to keep yourself safe. If you see someone that doesn't feel right, don't follow them in on the hiking trail. Get off the elevator. Get away from the bar. Wherever it is that you're not feeling safe, take steps to remove yourself and alert someone immediately. Okay? So that is my tip for today, based on my own experience and my time as a federal prosecutor, having seen a lot of cases. All right? So take care of yourself. Thank you for watching. Please leave any comments.